If you have ever skimmed along above the cumulus and floated over the cottony puffs of clouds below, you have no doubt thought, how lovely. But as beautiful as they are, these particular clouds are only a part of something much more important. So important that life, all life on this planet, could not exist without it. Yes, these clouds are part of a unique weather system that starts with clouds formed over the Pacific Ocean, blown eastward over the Oregon coast, traveling inland and bringing with them fresh, abundant water, as they have forever. And while every part of this country is blessed in some way, fresh water is Portland's precious heritage. Now, while no one can look down on the quality of the water here in Portland, Oregon, we are going to present a brief overview. And what a view! In case you didn't know it, Portland is one of the few cities in America that gets its water directly from the clouds. The peaks in the Cascade Range, especially Mount Hood, catch the wet, easterly flowing clouds almost like a magnet and drain them dry. Very little of this precious water is wasted, too. For example, out of every 10 drops of water that fall here, 9 of them stay here. Only 1 evaporates away. You see, Portland's watershed works like a huge 102 square mile bowl on the slopes of Mount Hood that collects water at the center. Even the trees help collect the water, as it is thought that a full third of it is combed from the mists by fir needles, drop by drop. But while this area was created as a great natural collector of water, it took the efforts of many people over many years to bring it home to Portland. Seems the city of Portland was unwilling to keep depending on shallow local wells and Willamette River water for drinking and cooking. So in the late 1880s, the city fathers took it upon themselves to guarantee the city an unending supply of fresh, pure water. They found it here, about 35 miles east of Portland and more than 3,000 feet above sea level. In those days, cattlemen were already driving their herds through these mountains. Legend has it that one of those herds got away into the forests and had free run of the place. So people started calling it Bull Run, and the name stuck. After the city found the water, they went right to work building the best ways to collect it and bring it to Portland. That included dams. This was the first of 2 dams built from materials dragged up the mountainside by horse and mule. They also laid pipe for the water with the same struggle through dense underbrush along the steep, rugged trails. But as some were working to collect the water, others were working to protect it. In 1892, the U.S. government set the whole area aside as a permanent reserve, protected against entry or settlement. So the water was well protected from the start. Once, when a few horses were allowed in the reserve to haul out logs, each and every one was fitted with a horse diaper. And that concern for the water is just as great today. For example, today, mats are used to catch spots of oil that might drip from parked utility vehicles. Trespassers are kept positively out. And all to keep Bull Run pristine and natural. But one of the most natural things for water to do is run downhill, so let's follow it. In point of fact, there are 3 lakes within the Bull Run Reserve. Bull Run Lake, Lake Ben Morrow, and the lake behind Dam Number 2. Together they collect 5 times as much water as Portland needs. And today there are 2 dams, each with its own electrical generating station. Let's drop in for a look. You see, running water has immense power. And these generators turn water current into electrical current, enough to supply 8,000 homes. So Bull Run water doesn't serve just once, but again and again. And once the water is served to make electricity, it's ready to be prepared to serve the people. So let's take a close-up look at the Headworks, where the only needed treatment of Bull Run water takes place. At the headworks downstream from dam number 2, floating debris, leaves, and fir needles are removed, and a small amount of chlorine and ammonia are added to prevent the growth of algae or microorganisms. Unlike most places in the country, Bull Run water contains neither man-made nor industrial wastes or pollution. The water is already so incredibly pure that there's no need for expensive treatment or high levels of purifying chemicals. But just to make sure of the water's purity, we have a few highly skilled individuals who get all up in the air about water quality. Here in our water quality laboratory, scientists continuously test for unwanted chemicals, unfriendly little life forms, and even how clear the water is from mud and sediment. Normally, the quality of the water is so much better than the highest national standards for water that the hardest part of their job is simply finding something to worry about. And now the water is ready for a grand float trip, with its destination the city that has worked so hard for it, Portland. Down a system of 3 sets of water pipes with internal diameters of up to 54 inches, the water races along under the powerful force of gravity, transporting itself as much as 225 million gallons a day without any need for expensive pumping equipment, moving itself through forests, over streams, under bridges, and under the ground as it rushes by the millions of gallons daily to Portland and the surrounding area. When it arrives, some of it is stored temporarily here in one of the city's 5 above-ground reservoirs. Or here, in any one of 70 storage tanks like these on hilltops all around the city. It has all been thought carefully through. For example, some of our machines do serve as pumps at certain times, but they also serve as electrical generators when surplus water is diverted through them. Portland even has an emergency water supply to back up and supplement the Bull Run system. This backup source, taken from deep water wells, will soon give the city a 100% emergency supply of fresh water anytime the need arises. Our water planners and builders have even devised an ingenious plan to make water seem to flow uphill. By harnessing the force of gravity, the water is channeled through pipes that let it race down from the eastern hills, under the city and the Willamette River, and then up and over Portland's West Hills to quench the thirsts of people and businesses beyond. The water of Portland is as good for living plants as it is for industrial plants. More than 11,000 businesses and manufacturing facilities share peacefully in the flood of fresh mountain water, knowing that there is at least a third more available on any given day than they use on their most active days. Because the water is so plentiful, businesses enjoy some of the lowest water rates in the country and can grow confidently, knowing that their needs are guaranteed right into the 21st century. And because the water is so pure, even businesses which need the finest water can be sure Portland's water measures up. After all, Portlanders have been using water straight from the tap for filling steam irons and automobile batteries for years. There's so much of this fabulous fluid everywhere that Portlanders don't just use it for work, they use it for play. And they use it for life. For big things, like handling big thirsts, and little things like soaking your feet. Now you might think that the beautiful story of the waters of Portland and Bull Run is finished, that it's all water under the bridge now. But that's one of the very nicest parts of the story. Because even though the people and the industries and the animals all drink their fill, there's so much extra water all around us that our story actually continues on down one of the nation's cleanest river systems. After a journey of a few miles, the water once again joins the ocean, the mother of waters. And then a wonderful thing happens. Because of the powerful heat of the sun, the water is warmed so that molecule by molecule, it is lifted up into the skies and purified bit by bit as water vapor, and rising upward, allowed to rejoin itself where our story began. In the clouds, once more, and soon again perhaps, to become one of the world's precious, purest, most abundant, and most reliable sources of water. Portland's precious heritage.